3-year-old impacting their brain cells with meth and marijuana in the car with your child at this point in time. I mean, it's a no-go for the court. This is what the court is going to do. The court will sentence you to 4 years. There's to be no contact with Ziamara employment.
I let them know that I was just donating plasma and I was
25 CR 010462, State versus Cammy Lynn Lumpkins. You're charged with possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1, less than 1 gram. That's a state jail felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine. You understand that the court were to grant your application for deferred adjudication. If for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked,
this is where things get serious fast. We're not just talking about poor judgment, this is child endangerment layered with drug exposure. In legal terms, that's a combination that judges rarely take lightly. And here's the real question: how does a moment like this change a child's life forever?
the court could find you guilty and sentence you up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to a $10,000 fine.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're not a U.S. citizen, by entering into this plea bargain agreement, you will be deported, denied re-entry and naturalization. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
The offense is charged. How do you plead?
No contest.
State any evidence?
State for state one and attachments.
Thank you. State you may be excused. Did you review the waiver and stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. After reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court will defer finding of guilt as you've applied for deferred adjudication. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Just a couple things, obviously, that the court follow the agreement. I don't believe Ms. Lumpkins has any history prior to this. She does have a minor dependent, Judge. I know that there's a fine, and I should have mentioned this earlier. She's not employed. She does care for the 3-year-old dependent. You could perhaps help her with her fine. And she took a parenting class already while in custody. Just wanted to make you aware of that.
All right. So you have a 3-year-old dependent?
Yes, ma'am. But I signed over my temporary rights to my mother as well as my husband.
Okay. And I'm assuming Child Protective Services is involved?
They were involved, but they closed the case as soon as I signed over the rest of my mother.
All right. So I'm telling you all, what's the child's name?
Roman Lumpkins, RHOMEN LUMPKINS.
Pause right here. This is a crucial legal pivot. Deferred adjudication sounds like a break, but it's actually a tightrope. The judge is basically saying, I'll hold off on calling you guilty, but one wrong move, and everything comes crashing down. Think of it as probation with a loaded consequence. Would you risk it or straighten up instantly?
And his middle name is Connor, CONNER.
So it's Roman Connor Lumpkins?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So it appears to the court that the only reason why Child Protective Services is not in her life is because she signed over rights to her mom.
Yes.
So I'm not going to do this thing where you signed over your rights to your mom and then you go back and say, let me take my child back. Oh, well, I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen with conditions. So when's the last time you had employment?
Last time I had employment was about 6 months before I got incarcerated. I was donating plasma to help keeping my benefits and as well as giving my son clothes and shoes that he needs.
All right. What benefits?
EBT and Medicaid for him.
All right. So then you didn't have employment. What was your employment?
I let them know that I was just donating plasma and I would get $60 to $75.
Okay. That's not employment. So when's the last time?
6 months before I got incarcerated.
Doing what?
I was working at Babes Old Fashions restaurant.
Okay. I always see that restaurant. I've never gone in and tried it because usually I'm passing by.
Kids eat free.
Yes, they do.
Oh, so you've been. Okay.
Yes.
Well, let me bring out my pigtails. Going to school.
I only went to 10th grade.
All right. Why?
I was never really involved with school. I was always just running around doing a little hoodlum. Instead of doing education, I was just running them off.
So what are your plans? Because you have a child.
My plan is to get a GED and show him that his mom can turn around her mistakes and better herself.
All right, so you're going to have to reside somewhere other than your mom's.
I don't have anywhere else.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not, at this point in time, I can't trust you with your child at this point in time. I mean, it's a no-go for the court. This is what the court is going to do. There's $1,000 fine. That will be probated. Court will sentence you to 4 years deferred adjudication. There's to be 100 hours of community service restitution. Ms. Abrams, the parenting classes at the jail is not going to count towards her parenting classes. Once parenting classes are completed, 50 hours will be deemed satisfied. The other 50 hours will be deemed satisfied if she obtains her GED. If for some reason you're unable to obtain your GED, then you're going to have to do those 50 hours. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. There's to be regular random UAs. There's to be no unsupervised contact with minors. There's to be no residing in household with minors. There's to be no contact with Xiomara Perales. Course. Take into consideration 2025 PF 25148, 2025 AL 006849. The following will be done in custody. There should be a referral to felony drug court and a TAP evaluation. If not accepted in felony drug court, then follow TAP recommendations and field visits one time per month until further notice, or that can change if she's accepted in felony drug court, because they will do their own field visits.
Check.
I'm sorry, what?
How many months for field visits?
Until further notice.
No.
All right, Ms. Abrams, is there anything else? Thank you. There's to be proof of employment within 45 days of release. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. And what I can tell you, because you don't have custody of your child is not with you, so those benefits should stop for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you read the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Because it's a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. We can go off the record. Here's the thing. That 3-year-old can't even fend for themselves. That 3-year-old is 100% dependent upon you. And what did you do? You drove in a vehicle that was stolen with this Perales person. And then not only that, you all are doing drugs in the car. There's drugs in the car. And let me just tell you, meth stinks to high heaven. We had a case in this courtroom where someone brought in meth, and it took us forever to get that sent out of the courtroom. And you driving around with a 3-year-old impacting their brain cells with meth and marijuana in the car.
In my defense, she didn't let me know that the car was stolen.
Here's the thing, there's no defense. There's no defense to driving around in a vehicle. And let's say you didn't know it was stolen. You had meth in your bag. She's driving away with drugs. You can't tell me that you don't know the people you hang around with. How long had you known her?
I don't know, for 8 years.
All right, so you've known her for 8 years. So number one, you know what type of person she is. You've known her for 8 years. And if you were to tell me it was a complete stranger, then I would be asking you, why are you getting in a vehicle with a complete stranger when you have a 3-year-old? If you want to put your life at risk, then go for it. But you're putting that child's life at risk by doing that. And signing over your rights to your mom, I already know that's the easy way out. And what ends up happening, people are in CPS court, and you know what they do? They sign their rights over to a relative. CPS gets out of their life, and then guess what they do? They go back to that relative and then they have that child again, not in this court. Good luck to you.
And I didn't think all the way through. I didn't.
I read the report. Not only were you intoxicated with a 2-year-old in the car, it says when they pulled you over, you almost fell out of the vehicle. 2023 CR 8486, State of Texas versus Annabelle Marie. Do you understand you're charged with driving while intoxicated with a child under the age of 15 as a state jail felony? Range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility
Yes, ma'am.
and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes.
All right, after reviewing State's Exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything? Yes, I'm sorry. Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Yes, Your Honor. There are two issues that I'd like to discuss with the court. Ms. Vella's been sitting in jail for the last 3 weeks, and we would ask the court to take that into consideration in reference to the 10 days house arrest. If you do impose the 10 days house arrest, she is gainfully employed, and that leads to the second issue. We would ask that the court consider allowing her to go to work and home as part of the condition of her house arrest.
And there it is, the judge calling out a pattern she's clearly seen before. This isn't just about this case anymore, it's about stopping a cycle. Notice the shift? The courtroom just went from punishment to protection mode. And here's the takeaway: when a judge starts thinking long-term instead of just sentencing, the stakes have officially leveled up.
The second issue is the fact that her employment is in Guadalupe County. And of course, we'd ask you to allow her to travel to Guadalupe County for work purposes. She works at the Tyson Food Factory, which is right off of IH-10. We'd ask you to allow her to travel to Guadalupe County while she's on probation to continue her employment there. And then the last issue we'd like to talk to the court about is the ignition interlock for half the term. Ms. Vella does not have a vehicle. She already had the handheld device, and we'd ask you to continue her with the handheld device.
All right. So, Ms. Vela, with regards to the ignition interlock, do you live by yourself or you live with other people?
Other people.
All right, and who are these other people? Are they relatives?
My boyfriend and his mother.
Your boyfriend and his mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Do they have a vehicle?
They do.
This vehicle that you were driving, was that your vehicle?
It was mine, no.
Whose vehicle was it?
It was my boyfriend's.
So she's going to have ignition interlock. With regards to employment,
Real quick, is that vehicle, is it running? Is it drivable?
No.
she'll have to provide proof of that.
Okay.
But I'm going to order ignition interlock. Any other vehicles at that home?
No, just it's his truck that doesn't work and then his mom's, but I don't ever drive his mom's car.
Yeah, go ahead. Ignition interlock.
Judge, the mother is here if you'd like to admonish her about her using the vehicle.
No, I mean, if a vehicle is sitting in the driveway, it has to have ignition interlock on it. Now, is Child Protective Services involved?
Yes.
And the 2-year-old, where is the 2-year-old now?
With his mother, with my boyfriend's mother. She's my safety plan person.
So tell me, what were you thinking? Because I read the report, not only were you intoxicated with a 2-year-old in the car, but the 2-year-old was not even in a proper carrier. 2-year-old is just in a seat, in a seat belt.
I don't know. It was a very selfish act of me, and I didn't think all the way through. I just wasn't thinking, and
So where
I
were
was
you
being
drinking?
selfish.
Where were you drinking?
I was with my sister.
At the sister's house? Or
No,
where?
I was going to my cousin's house. So
So
I was with my sister hanging out, and then I just thought to go hang out with my cousin. And
The question was, were you at your sister's house? Were you at a bar, at a club?
yeah, we were just at my sister's house.
so you're at your sister's house drinking. Does she have children as well?
Not that live with her.
All right. So she doesn't have children that live with her, but she has children. another child protective services case, the reason why the children don't live with her?
I don't know what her situation is. I don't know what happened, the details of her or what happened, but I just know that the dad took him. He's in the military, and the dad took him. So.
All right. And so when you were at your sister's house, was the 2-year-old with you while you all were drinking?
Yes.
All right. Just wandering around while you all are drinking.
Yes.
So then after you finish drinking, then what do you do? Stumble to your car? Because in the police record, it says when they pulled you over, you almost fell out of the vehicle.
I don't think the judge is trying to make you
I know.
feel ashamed. She just wants you to realize that.
Yeah. I mean, you have to realize there's so much that could have happened. You know, I had a friend, and a lot of people do not read the warning that's over the visor. And you know that warning over the visor that tells you who can sit in the front seat, and it'll tell you what their weight should be and how old they need to be. And if they're not that age and you put them in the front seat and there's an accident, the airbag will just totally sort of crush them. So my friend didn't pay attention to that, and her child was sitting in the front seat, and she wasn't driving intoxicated. And she felt so bad because her child ended up with scratches on the face. They had to take him to a surgeon to take care of the cuts to his face. But you're driving intoxicated, and you have a 2-year-old on the second passenger row that's not even in a proper car seat, just in a seatbelt. And all the people were calling because you were weaving and swerving. So how often are you drinking alcohol, and what are you drinking?
Before I got to this point, it was quite a bit, maybe every other day.
All right. So what do you know why you're drinking? What started you to drinking a lot?
Judge, if I may, on her behalf, just to help
Sure.
get her going.
Yeah.
She did commence a 12-step program. She made it through the 6th step. And I think through going through that program, I think those reasons might become clearer to her. I know one of the first steps that she learned was having to accept responsibility for her behavior. When she did end up in jail, several family members were trying to get her out, and she took it upon herself to say, "Hey, look, first thing is I got to accept responsibility. Leave me here. I'll go to court and you can deal with it." I don't know if she really.
So is there any mental health issues that need to be addressed? Any past trauma? And I'm not going to ask you what the past trauma is, but is that something that needs to be addressed? Is there something like that?
That is beyond my personal knowledge.
Were you raised by your parents or no?
I was.
All right.
I just, before I had realized it was an issue, I was just doing it selfishly. I don't know why. I don't know. I knew it was an issue. I had a drinking issue, but I didn't realize how much of an issue it was until all of this happened. And it took me to get to this point to realize that what I was doing wasn't right. And I have a son to raise and look after, and I wasn't putting him first. And
All right. So you only have one child? So here's the thing. I'm going to grant your application, but you're going to have to start making choices. And sometimes the choices that we make means that certain people can no longer be in your life. If your sister is not going to get her act together, she shouldn't be in your life. Because, for example, if you would have came to my home and there was a 2-year-old, I wouldn't have allowed people to just be drinking till they're intoxicated. I would have recognized certain things. And if I was not watching and you became intoxicated, I would have said, "You're not leaving, I'm taking the keys." So you're going to have to see people as they are, not as you hope they will be, because you have a 2-year-old, and that 2-year-old can't decide and say, "Hey, mom, I'm not getting in the car with you, you're intoxicated." That 2-year-old is 100% dependent upon you so that they don't have any trauma in their life and so that they go on into adulthood. You understand? All right. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to sentence you to 2 years in the state jail facility. It will be suspended and probated for 3 years. There's a $500 fine that will be probated. Going to do the DWI intervention and education course. Ignition interlock for half the term. There's going to be a 2-year driver's license suspension. 120 hours of community service restitution. I know that Child Protective Services is probably making you do parenting classes. If they're not, you're going to do them. Once you completed parenting classes, the community service hours will be deemed satisfied.
Thank you, Judge.
There's going to be 30 days partial GPS for employment. I'll ask that the fees be waived or deferred. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Regular random UAs. Make sure they test for alcohol. Field visits, 1 time per month for 3 months. CPS compliance. 90 sober meetings in 90 days. We'll do a TAP evaluation. That can be out of custody. If you miss that TAP evaluation appointment, a warrant may be issued for your arrest because that's going to be a violation of your probation, or it may end up with you spending time at the Bexar County Jail and having them do the TAP there. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm doing the 30 days partial GPS in lieu of the 10 days in the Bexar County Jail. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I know that the Bexar County Jail, 1, has too many inmates. 2, there are health issues there. 3, there's issues with the facilities, the actual maintenance and upkeep. All right. And with regards to the TAP evaluation, if the TAP evaluation recommends inpatient treatment, we're going to start with intensive outpatient treatment. If they recommend outpatient treatment, I still want to start with intensive outpatient treatment. And we'll do a referral to felony drug court. Felony drug court, there's no room there. There's a waiting list, but things may open up. And if they do, then felony drug court will probably accept you. All right. Probation, is there anything else she needs?
Your Honor, you mentioned proof of employment.
Thank you. Proof of employment within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. Anything else, probation?
No questions.
Is there anything else you need from the court?
Judge, just the permission to travel to Guadalupe County for employment.
All right. She's allowed to travel to Guadalupe County for employment. All right. Is there anything else you need from the court? You need to say yes or no. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.